Pickleball is taking the world by storm. And why shouldn't it? I'm sure you've got some friends that are already playing. It's easy to learn, inexpensive to play. It's a great physical as well as social activity.
But if you're a few years over your 30s, there's some extra tips that you need to keep in mind before you engage in your new activity.
My name is CJ Johnson, and together with my partner Tony Roy, we are Better Pickleball, and we're committed to helping you live your best lives on and off the pickleball courts.
CJ, as we've seen over the years, a lot of new content creators coming into this space. A lot of them are pretty young. So the tips that they're providing oftentimes are not designed for players like us who are not quite in our 30s.
I mean, you don't get to a certain age without having a few aches and pains. And if you're not learning the game in a manner that's suitable for where you are physically, chances are it's going to cause frustration as well as risk of potential injury. Today, we're going to share some tips to help you to learn to move safely and efficiently on the pickleball court. Before we get into tip number one, it's very important that you take a few minutes and warm up. We've got a special video to help you get all ready to go. How many games does it take you to warm up? 2? 3? Why are you wasting time and risking injury? Get our free dynamic stretching guide. It's built specifically for pickleball players to get your body ready to play your best quickly and to reduce your chance of injury. Click up here or click down below. Tip number one is your ready position. As we get a little older, we have a tendency to stand very tall with little knee flex and little bend from the hip. When we're moving in pickleball, we're moving laterally. So if we're standing tall, there's a chance that we could tip as we move side to side. So instead of standing so tall, what you want to do is widen your stance slightly so that you feel balanced on the balls of your feet. Flex your knees. Let your hips flex just a little bit. The minute you flex your knees, your hips are going to flex as well. This puts you in a better position to move laterally and minimizes your chance of tipping over as you move side to side. Tip number two, you want to make sure that when you bend to get a ball from your knees, not from your back. Now, Coach Tony is going to show us what that looks like. Coach Tony, bend forward from your back, from your hips. What you're going to notice here is Tony has now brought his chest so he is almost parallel to the ground. That position, it's not only not an effective position to move from, he runs the risk of tipping over.
Pretty uncomfortable too, Coach.
It is uncomfortable, isn't it? It hurts the back, doesn't it? Puts a lot of unnecessary strain on the back. What you want to do instead of that is make the flex come from your knees. And that nice wide stance you have from tip number one with the flex puts you in the right position. Stick around to the end. We have a bonus tip and you're going to find out what this is all about. Tip number three, pick up your feet. There's a tendency when we get a little past 30 is to shuffle either as we move forward or as we move sideways. When we're moving on a pickleball court, it's an athletic movement. So as I move, I want to pick up my feet, feeling like I'm moving from a balanced position instead of shuffling my shoes across the court. Listen for the noise, and if you hear that noise, it probably means you're not picking up your feet. Make sure you do that so you don't trip and fall. Number four, take larger steps. I'm sure you've noticed some players at your pickleball court who take all these small steps to get to where they want to go. It's not effective movement for the court, and again, it presents a trip and fall hazard. So instead of taking, Tony, take some small lateral steps. So instead of taking steps that look like that, take a slightly wider step. And you notice here as Tony moves, it's not a huge step, so it's not a big lunge in either direction. It's just a naturally large step as you move either side to side or forward. Number five, balance. As we get older, even past the age of 30, our balance starts to deteriorate. And in order to move side to side, forward and back, good balance is going to help us do it not just efficiently, but safely as well. So when you're on that pickleball court, going back to the tips we just gave you, make sure that you're in this balanced position from which to move. Bonus tip, if you want to play better pickleball and move better in your daily life, pay attention to your joint mobility. Our joints change, and we can do certain exercises to help us loosen up those joints so they perform more normally. Tony's going to show you the first one to help your shoulder joints, and it's just simply arm circles. So he's going to put his arms forward with a pointer finger, and he is just going to circle his arms all the way around. Now, you may not have as much mobility as Tony has. That's okay. Start wherever you are. If it's just a small circle, start there. This exercise shouldn't hurt. Just keep it very simple. Another area where we have some aches and pains is typically in our knees. Hold on to something. You can do this in your house at the courts. Lift your leg up, and all you want to do with your leg is just simply move the knee back and forth. Think of it like oiling your joints. Once you're finished with that one, don't forget about the other one. Follow those tips and you'll be moving around the court like a flash. Now, if you want to know more about the 3 common mistakes that we see new players make all the time, click on this video, because together we can train smart, live bold, and age well.